Congress and the president went back to work today while much of the federal government remains closed for this shutdown. This is having a very real impact. 800,000 Americans missing their paychecks this week. Federal offices that provide food for the hungry are now closed. Key disaster assistance programs put on hold, leaving 250,000 Americans who fled those fires in Thousand Oaks and Malibu, California, now without help. And as the government shutdown grinds on, the stock market has seen the worst drops in a decade. This shutdown is a drag on the economy. It's hurting hundreds of thousands of Americans. And we've seen these kind of effects in previous shutdowns, to be sure. But this Trump shutdown is actually different than every other shutdown recorded in the modern era, when presidents drew lines in each of those years to defend their positions on taxes or health care or spending. But this is the first time a president has shut down the government not to defend a pledge, but to break a pledge. Just stop there and consider how bizarre this is. Tomorrow, a new Congress begins, and its first business is dealing with a president shutting down the government to break his own campaign pledge. Let's be very clear about this. Donald Trump promised Americans they would never pay for the wall because Mexico would pay. And then he failed to get that money from Mexico, despite 2 years when his party actually controlled Washington. So Trump shuts down the government to break his pledge and try to make Americans pay for the wall. Believe me, this is not how it was supposed to go.
Believe me, Mexico's paying for the wall, okay? That's it.
If I win, if I become president, Mexico will pay for the wall.
And by the way, Mexico will pay for the wall. They will pay for the wall. That I can tell you.
Mexico's going to pay for the wall. They don't know it yet. They don't know it yet.
They're starting to have a very good idea, but that's okay. And Mexico's going to pay for the wall, and they'll be happy to do it.
They were not happy to do it, and Mexican officials, past and present, shut Trump down.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall. He should pay for it.
Lo he dicho una y otra vez. México no pagará ningún muro.
Mexico will not pay for the wall.
Clear enough for you? Diplomacy. Now, since 2015, Donald Trump has been pushing the idea that he was going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. Now, he says they'll take on the mantle for demanding border funding and make you pay for it.
This is a wall that's going to work. Mexico will pay for it because they are not doing us any favors.
This was day 2 of the partial government shutdown over the president's demand for border wall funding.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security. I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. Mexico, Sean, is going to pay for the wall. You know, these politicians come up. They say, you don't really mean Mexico's going to pay. We will have Mexico pay for that wall. Sure. And you know what? If I'm wrong about this, you're going to all come back. We'll have another meeting, and I'll apologize to you. Here you have a wall where you're talking about to complete, because, again, a lot has already been done. The $5.6 billion approved by the House is such a small amount compared to the level of the problem. So we give money to countries, but we don't give money to our own country.
Trump failed. He didn't pull off the deal. He didn't apologize to Hannity. He turned from pressuring Mexico for pesos to pressuring the U.S. for dollars, making this shutdown, as you just saw, a bizarre public exercise in breaking his promise. Now, if Trump reopens the government without wall funding, this was a waste of time from his view. And if Trump reopens the government with any U.S. wall funding, however unlikely, that is a violation of his pledge from his view. If it sounds like that doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't make sense. And yet this very clear logic basically has escaped all kinds of pundits and politicos, because you may have heard this now common claim that the shutdown that breaks Trump's promise is actually Trump standing by his promise.
His base is right. This is an essential promise that he's made, and the White House has said this is an essential promise.
I applaud the president for standing firm on a major campaign promise that he said that he would get the wall built.
He's made clear this is a campaign promise. He's not going anywhere on it, at least at this moment.
He's not pandering. He's not catering. It's what he believes, and it's what he ran on.
No, it's not what he ran on. It's the total and complete violation of what he ran on, which was Mexico funding the wall. Now, we can all debate whether America First is a good idea. But even as Trump loudly breaks his wall promise, he continues to claim he's putting America first by getting other countries to meet their obligations, from boots on the ground to picking up the tab, as he recently told our troops.
So we're not the suckers of the world. We're no longer the suckers, folks. And people aren't looking at us as suckers. We're respected again as a nation.
You can see the classic blending of reality and perception there. Trump declares we're not suckers and we're not looked at as suckers. But on the wall, whether you think we should build one or not, we are looked at as suckers right now around the world, people marveling at Trump negotiating himself into punishing his own country after failing to get a peso from Mexico. Now, even if you put the wall aside for a moment, it's easy to see how who pays for something can impact its popularity. If politicians promise to offer free crossing guards to help children in your neighborhood cross the street, the plan will be more popular than a plan to raise your taxes by $1,000 for the same crossing guards. The first offer, you don't even have to think about. The second makes you question, well, okay, is that worth the money? In fact, it's often conservatives who say they don't necessarily oppose a program like health care or food for the hungry. They oppose the cost and the taxes. Now, Trump flipped that by promising a conservative goal here, this wall, at no cost. And this kind of propaganda came naturally to Donald Trump because let's remember the context. His entire career was built on selling the hoax of something for nothing, from casinos that went out of business to Trump University that went out of business to gold-plated real estate pitches that went out of business. And now, today, we have this same pattern, politicized, weaponized, and supersized. Instead of Atlantic City casinos shutting down, the federal government is shut down. Instead of Trump running from bankers over his bills, Trump's running from Mexico and trying to pass on that bill to the American taxpayer. We all know someone like this, a scrub who runs up the tab, and then when the bill comes, all of a sudden they're acting dumb. Beyonce diagnosed that type of person in the classic Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny Child. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? Do you pay my automobiles? If you did, then maybe we could chill. But we can't chill. Donald Trump didn't pay his bills in business. He repeatedly stiffed people and passed the buck. He's famous for those headlines. Trump's not paying the bill he promised Mexico would pay, and now he wants to pass the buck to the American taxpayer. There's not much debate left here. Every time you think about this shutdown, or talk to anyone about this shutdown, or watch the new Congress deal with it tomorrow, remember, we know Trump broke his promise because he told us. We know he shut down the government to keep breaking that promise because he told us. And we know Trump is wrong right now and every day of this shutdown because he told us that too.
We will have Mexico pay for that wall. Sure, and you know what? If I'm wrong about this, you're going to all come back. We'll have another meeting, and I'll apologize to you.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.